British Airways, the world's favorite airline.
At the Marriott Marquis at the 58th Annual NFL Draft. Chris Berman, Joe Theismann, Mel Kiper here in New York. A cast of thousands canvassed around the NFL. 4 war room cams, one which you've seen already in Phoenix. And, hey, we don't lie. We told you that this would be a different draft. There'll be more stuff buzzing than probably any draft that we could remember already. The stuff be flying. Marvin Jones, a very special player, Mel, in the middle, the likes of which we haven't seen for a while. Talk about what he can mean to a football team.
Well, I've said all along, Chris, I think he's the most dominant college linebacker since Lawrence Taylor in '79 and '80. The problem with Marvin Jones is a middle linebacker, and a lot of teams are a little reluctant to use a super high pick on a pure middle linebacker. You see the 244 pounds, started his career at 225, added weight and strength each year. First defender to the hole, tremendous instincts to snap the ball. You see him here shooting into the backfield, making the play. Can also get outside. Tremendous lateral quickness from Marvin Jones. And like I said, you're talking about a kid now that's bulked up to about 238, 240 pounds. So he's a lot bigger, a lot stronger, has retained that 4.55 speed. And because of that, you're looking at one of the elite defensive players in the draft.
There are less than 5 minutes now on the Jets' first-round selection, this version, which is now the number 4 pick overall. And before we come back to speculate on if they're talking trade again, let's get some opinions on a linebacker, Marvin Jones, from a pretty good linebacker himself, Tom Jackson. Tommy, I have a feeling that you really like what you saw when you studied him on film.
Well, Chris, he's an outstanding athlete, and I think that the speed and strength factor is no question. I think if there's a downside to Marvin Jones, it's the fact that, in fact, the entire linebacking group that you're going to look at this year lacks a little bit in height, and I can speak from experience in this area. On the inside, he might find that he has a little bit of a problem playing a 2-gap linebacker, just losing sight of the ball. I played inside the first year and a half that I was in the NFL, and about 10 to 15% of the time, I found myself losing sight of the ball. I think that a lot of people will project this kid as an outside guy, and I think you get an outstanding talent if you put him on the outside.
Supposing a team plays the Jets aren't this situation, Tommy, but supposing they play a 3-4, then is he definitely outside or is he better inside? Where would you play him, depending on what kind of defense you play?
Well, again, I think if you played a 3-4 where you're going to have a guy who's getting hit every time, I think that then automatically almost you put him on the outside. If you put him in a 4-3 where you can protect him, where you have guys slicing, going inside, keeping people off of him, and allow him to scrape to the football, then you're going to get the same kind of play that you got from him in college, which may be as good a linebacker as has come out since Lawrence Taylor.
Well, that's a big statement right there. Tommy, you spent a good part of this week with Bill Parcells, who knows a little bit about linebackers. Where would Bill play him? What did Bill think about him?
Well, Bill thought he was an outstanding talent. I think that when he started to rate the guys, he said, first of all, when you look at the quarterbacks, he said, I had no one rated higher in my life than John Elway. And he said, as far as Lawrence Taylor, I don't know that Marvin Jones will be a Lawrence Taylor. He said you have to measure the intangibles afterwards. But again, I think the height was a bit of a concern to Coach Parcells.
All right, Tommy, we'll check in with you a little bit later as the Jets have now, well, under 5 minutes. Let's take a look. 2.5 minutes to go on the clock. The Jet fans have had plenty of chances to yell names, but as Marvin Jones waits, do they make another trade? This could be a spot where the Jets, now they had an awful year and they would not want to trade what happened with them. Certainly with Dennis Byrd and Al Toon. I'm not trying to say that they would trade anything like that for what they get to pick here very early in the draft. But if you're a pretty good team, which they were 2 years ago at 8-8, had an awful year at 4-12. Now look what they've done already. By picking this high, one bad year, they get a running back, they make maybe another trade. They could really fortify themselves, Joe, is what I'm trying to spit out.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And they really are in somewhat of what would be called a catbird seat. They can make deals because there are people that want to get up to get Jerome Bettis. They want to get up to get Eric Curry. There are people there that other people want. So they're still holding all the cards as far as deals go. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another trade.
Well, here comes the cards, and we shall find out as the Jets on the clock have about a minute and a half to go. And here's the commissioner.
With the fourth choice in the draft, the New York Jets select Marvin Jones, linebacker, Florida State. Cincinnati is the next selecting team.
The people's choice in New York. The Jets got their man, and they got a running back. Well, they did it. Marvin Jones. You can hear the Jets Jets.
What would you do with a Motorola pager?
Miss a meeting.
I don't know. Boss at home. Pagers.
All right, you got the pager number, right? We're going.
Cool, this works.
What would you do?
Anything.
Time.
Anywhere I want. Really?
A Motorola pager lets you stay in touch with the important people in your life while doing the things important to you. The affordable, portable Motorola pager.
I got it!
Reincarnation. The belief you can come back is just about anything. Why do some guys
So cute.
have all the luck? Try a less filling beer with a lot more taste. Bud Dry. Because while luck may run out,
Happy birthday, Grandma.
For me?
true refreshment won't.
Burt Reynolds talks with the Quaker State team.
Hold on. I got to get my name on the car. My fans are getting restless.
No room.
How about on the Big Q?
The Big Q stands alone. Stands for quality.
You can't get better protection.
No other oil beats Quaker State.
How about right here?
No way. Red doesn't like to be crowded.
My fans are getting demanding.
All right, we'll go get the painter.
I must have had a hard time finding the painter. Nothing beats Quaker State. It's one tough motor oil.
Usually Johnny sprays the Krylon spray paint. I get on me. Not this time.
Look, no runs, no drips, no errors. Dries to the touch in minutes. The other brand's tacky.
Good job. I'm a pro.
For a fast, smooth, professional finish, get Krylon.
Driving a Volvo usually inspires a certain sense of safety. Well, now we offer an additional sensation. The Volvo 850 GLT.
Well, they've been yelling, here it is. Marvelous Marv. I don't think they're talking throne burning. 3 of the first 4 picks this year are underclassmen. Bledsoe, Garrisonhurst, and Marvin Jones. Same as last year when Steve Empman was 1, Sean Gilbert was 3, and Desmond Howard was 4. So if you've got the talent and are that good, it looks like the pro teams are looking at you right away. Now the Cincinnati Bengals are up, picking number 5. The Bengals threw the curveball in last year's draft when they jumped up and took quarterback David Klingler. Klinger is now going to be the starter there as Boomer Esiason is on the Jets. I guess Cincinnati, Joe, has a lot of needs. They could go offensive tackle. Remember, Anthony Munoz may be one of the best ever to play the game. He's coming back for 1 year on his side with Tampa Bay. But they have an opening at the left tackle slot, maybe William Roaf.
Right.
But defensive line, they haven't had a pass rush for 10 years from the line.
Well, I think, you're talking about the pass rush. You're talking about great defense in college football. This year it's got to be University of Alabama. Copeland is probably the guy they're going to look at this particular draft. Or possibly, again, they might trade down. All these people realize that they may get Curry later down. They may get Williams later down. So there are opportunities for defensive help on that side of the ball. And again, they hold the cards now to the next 2 or 3 draft picks.
That's right. The 3 defensive players that we're talking about, those are the ones now that everyone's coveting, and the 2 offensive linemen, Roaf and Kennedy. Chris Myers is in Dallas, has some insight on what the Bengals may do. Chris.
Yes, hi, Chris. They've told us already this morning they've had more than one offer for that pick. One solid offer that the Bengals have turned down came from San Francisco. The 49ers were offering their 2 first-round picks to the Bengals for that 5th spot. Cincinnati said, no, we'd like more. The 49ers said that was too much. The Bengals, although they think offensive tackle, like Copeland and Curry. Curry is the better pass rusher of the 2 in their opinion. Copeland probably the better all-around defensive player. Williams is also a consideration. They're leaning towards defensive line if they don't trade down on the pick. Let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right. right, Chris, thank you. We will check in with you, and we know that we don't think Dallas wants to just sit there until pick 29. We have that thought for sure. So the Cincinnati Bengals are next, followed by Tampa Bay and Chicago. We're off and running at the NFL Draft. Memories of a pair of Super Bowl appearances in the 80s. They've lost Tim McGee, the excellent wide receiver to the Redskins. Eric Thomas has gone to Coslet and Boomer at the Jets. Rodney Holman, the tight end, has gone to Detroit. Anthony Munoz retired, unretired with Tampa Bay, Bussy to Tampa Bay. So the Bengals are definitely changing their face. A word here on the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year at this time, we thought that Dave Shula's situation coming in with a potential powder keg in an off-season or during the season development in Seattle allegedly involving a lot of the players, we thought that how he and the Bengals organization handle that situation would really determine, do they stay down in the doldrums for a long time or do they climb their way up? It's my opinion that they have handled it expertly. And you're seeing that they're just changing personnel and changing a different direction. And now it's really David Shula's team. It's become a change, and it hadn't taken long.
It really hasn't. Now you look at the defensive side of the ball, the offensive line, 2 question mark areas. And really in the draft right now, we had the skill positions, 2 quarterbacks, a running back. Now you're going to see a run on the beef, the linemen, offensive line, defensive line, Lincoln Kennedy, Willie Roaf, the 2 big tackles. Then comes the defensive linemen as well as Jerome Bettis, power back, Patrick Bates, Curry, Williams, and Footman. I think 5 of the next 7 picks will be either offensive or defensive linemen. And you also have Curtis Conway and Sean Dawkins and Jerome Bettis. Overall, 8 of the first 16 picks should be true juniors.
I think Roaf or Copeland. We got time on the Bengals pick. Right now, let's go to Adrian Karsten. Marvin Jones, it cost him an extra 15 minutes, but the result was the same. He's still a Jet. Adrian?
Well, Chris, I think part of the point of coming out as a junior is to be able to play at least an extra year. But, Marvin, how many years did you lose off your life waiting for that pick to be made, man?
Well, I lost about 20, I believe.
Tell me, can you start on a defense that has added Ronnie Lott and Leonard Marshall?
Well, you know, I don't like to go in with attitude. I just like to go in and work hard, and I let things come, as I work for them, and hoping for the best.
What kind of promises do you have from Coach Coslet? Any at all?
No, not at all. I just know that I have to just go there with a positive attitude, work hard, and everything will just fall in place.
Well, why coming out as a junior? What do you feel you can gain from that?
Well, I've had I had a lot of accomplishments over my years in college, and I was pleased with the way that my career went there, and I just felt I had to move on to another level.
Bigger challenge in the pros now. Can you play outside as well as you can play inside?
Oh yeah, definitely. In our scheme at FSU, I had a chance to play inside and outside.
So, what position would you prefer to play coming in your rookie year?
Well, I like linebacker period. I just like to hit. That's it.
Chris, Coach Erickson, Dennis Erickson, Miami, called him the best linebacker he's ever seen in college football.
I'll tell you what, that's a pretty high compliment for a guy that many of the scouts have told me is more instinctive coming out of college than Junior Seau and Quentin Coryatt. More instinctive than Junior Seau? That's some pretty serious high grades for Marvin Jones. And what kind of great influence Ronnie Lott and Leonard Marshall can have on a kid that's a hitter and an aggressive player and a guy that wants to go sideline to sideline. I don't think you can ever underestimate Ronnie Lott and Marshall's influence on Marvin Jones. It's exciting if you're a Jets fan, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. San Francisco 49ers, they're working the phones. Are they working it with Cincinnati? Let's check out in Santa Clara with Freddie Edelstein. Fred, what do you got this morning?
Well, Chris, the 49ers have had an absolute interest in the Cincinnati Bengals pick. If they got into this stratosphere, in this area of picks, they wanted one of the 3 defensive linemen, John Copeland, Eric Curry, or Dan Williams. Now, they weren't willing to pay a premium to get one of them. The Bengals wanted 2 number 1s and a number 2.